Hello everyone, I'm Robert Wenzel. Welcome to Robert Wenzel Talks Economics. And today specifically we're going to be talking about Bitcoin because everybody's talking about Bitcoin. And today Bitcoin jumped over $10,000, then it jumped just over 11,000, then it dropped back to 9,000 and change, and right now as I speak it's around 10,000. So let me for the record state today is November 29th 2017, and what we're going to do is try and analyze where Bitcoin goes from here and why. Now I want to start by analyzing, just talking briefly about how we generally determine the value of an investment. If we're talking a stock, if we're talking real estate, what we're really looking at is the stream of income that's coming in. When we look at a company like, say Macy's, we look at what their revenues are, we look at the cost involved in creating those revenues, and then we got the bottom line earnings. And what we're really buying, what's really attractive to anybody that is buying into a company is the earnings. Because if a company is earning, say, $10 million a year, it's never going to, that stock will never go to zero, because people would certainly buy it at $3 million, $5 million, up to $10 million, and likely a lot more if that $10 million in earnings stream appears pretty solid over time. Same thing with real estate. If we're buying real estate property, we're looking at the stream of income that will be generated by that, and we value it based on that. Some people will also buy it based on appreciation, but that's a little more technical. That has to do with price inflation and location of the property. But for the most part, even the price inflation and location factors will really kick in with regard to the earnings. So we're really buying that stream of earnings. And we sort of know there's a floor on the company if the earnings are there, whether it's stock market earnings or real estate earnings. So we've got a floor. And if we're a smart investor, what we're trying to do is find out situations where we anticipate earnings in the future will be higher than what other people do. So therefore, they're undervaluing the stock, the real estate, whatever it might be, and we can jump in, buy that, and profit from it going up as the earnings go up. Now, this also works to in pretty much the same fashion with most commodities. If we're talking about copper or zinc, they all have use to produce consumer goods. So there's that demand, there's that stream of income. It's called the Imputation Theory with regard to exactly how much zinc or copper may be valued based upon what the consumer wants to pay for the final product that uses the iron or zinc or whatever the commodity is, oil. And this also holds for silver, which is both sort of a haven money and also has commercial applications. With gold, we generally buy it sort of as a protection against inflation, but it should never be forgotten that gold itself has uses in terms of regular commercial use. For example, a lot of jewelry is made out of gold. If the price of gold was lower, you'd see more use of it with regard to electricity. It's a very, very good conductor. And who knows, if the price dropped enough, you'd see it in back teeth as fillings. So there are things. So we know that gold will never drop to zero, because people, if it dropped from where it is on its monetary use, there would be support for the non-monetary uses, especially jewelry. So that's where general investment valuations kick in. What does that mean for Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin has absolutely no use outside, maybe a tiny bit with regard to the blockchain. It gets a little technical, but that's worth maybe a penny or something like that. But there's no value for Bitcoin in terms of creating streams of revenue, streams of earnings. And so Henry Blodgett, the founder of Business Insider, said Bitcoin could go to zero or it could go to $1 million. And he's on the mark there, because all that's really going on with Bitcoin is people buying it, the drive to buy it. We have a pool of Bitcoin, and we have buyers. Now, the more buyers, the higher that price is going to go. That is the beginning and end of Bitcoin. There is nothing here as far as a price that would tell us it would necessarily go higher. There is no price where there would be necessary support because there's a commercial use for Bitcoin. And so it can go anywhere from that 0 to 1,000,000, even more. So it's kind of a game, okay? The trick is to figure out how much buying is coming in and then getting out before the buying sort of subsides. It's a very, very dangerous game, but it's a very intoxicating game because as the price goes up and goes up, more and more people see that and they want to jump in. You get in Silicon Valley, you get these guys sitting across desks. They're salespeople, they're technicians, whatever, and there's 3 or 4 guys in there that have bought Bitcoin. It's going up and they're jumping up and down. And it's going up 10% here and whatever the case might be. And so everybody around them sees that. And so they start to get in on the act and they put more and more money. It's very, very intoxicating. They sell their stocks and put it in Bitcoin. And the price goes up and up and up. And it expands as far as the number of people buying because the word gets out. So basically, what we have here is a situation where the price can go up until the buying is exhausted. Now, sometimes you'll see short drops in here in Bitcoin. And they'll go up, go down. That's typical of any stock or anything going on. And what it's really doing is it's training people to buy the dips. So when it dips, people are used to it recovering from the dip. You look at Bitcoin, and every month you get one drop that's a very, very steep drop of 20 or 30%. So what happens is people who have been in Bitcoin are getting trained to buy the dips. So what happens, even if they sell in here, take some profits, and then it dips, that's the key for them to go back in. But one of these times, the dip could go like that, and that's when they're in real trouble. That's when they're in real trouble. Because people are selling all kinds of things right now. There's a lot of rumors, speculation that kids in college are putting it on their credit cards. And it's really quite remarkable. And the more people that get involved, the higher this goes, because right now it's semi-fixed as far as the price. It's not completely, I would argue, because there are competitors to Bitcoin. There's Litecoin, Ethereum, there's Gold Cash, Bitcoin Cash, there's Bitcoin Gold. There's lots of things going on. So how do we judge this thing? Well, you really have to pay attention to lots of people and try and understand when everybody that could possibly be in. Because once that's it, then the price will drop. Because what's going on with most of these people is they're just buying in. There's not a lot of support here. Like with Macy's or a real estate building, there's people around that will analyze the thing and come from many, many different directions to buy. But with Bitcoin, you've got a pool of people that are buying here. And once they're done, that's it. So if anybody starts to sell for any reason, the pressure could go down significantly. To give you an example, the first run in Bitcoin, it was actually under $1 and it ran to over $1,000. Now, I published something called the EPJ Daily Alert when I talk about different investments, the stock market, the economy, what's going on. And when Bitcoin got to about $40, I saw clearly that there was a lot of momentum there. So I advised people to buy in with speculative funds. And sure enough, it went over $1,000. Then it dipped back to about 700 and 700 plus. And I sensed that the enthusiasm, the number of people that were getting into Bitcoin was not increasing enough to cause the price to break up again at that time. So I advised people to take their profits. We had significant profits. And what happened is, sure enough, it collapsed. It went down to $200 per coin. And then what occurred is it started running again. Now it stayed at 200 and changed for a while, and then it started running again and broke above $1,000. And it continued for a while. By June of this year, it was at 2,600. And on June 6th, 2017, I wrote in the EPJ Daily Alert, the current run I refer to as the China run. Almost 90% of the trading is coming out of China. Okay? And then I went on to make the point that although there seems to be a lot of enthusiasm for Bitcoin, it's very, very difficult to determine how much enthusiasm is left, because with most of the trading coming out of China, you would have to know how many Chinese people are getting into it and where it's really maxed out and all that. So I said it's very, very difficult to understand. But then things started to change. By September, it was clearly an American run again. And so on September 5th, 2017, in the alert, when Bitcoin was around $4,000, I said, with Bitcoin at $4,000, the buying intensity and madness has intensified in the United States. It is no longer just the China run. I talked about Paris Hilton, the boxer Floyd Merriweather, Tim Draper, a founder of Silicon Valley venture capital firm, all getting involved in Bitcoin type offerings. And then I noted, on an anecdotal basis, I am hearing that some Silicon Valley millennials who are earning decent money have sold all their stocks and put it into Bitcoin. So at that point, I remarked that the cryptocurrency, so I was talking about Bitcoin and Litecoin and all the rest, my guess is that cryptocurrencies will continue to climb as long as the Fed is printing money aggressively, but with very wild swings. The cryptocurrency advance could continue and be spectacular, but is a dangerous sideshow that has no fundamental support at any price, okay, because it doesn't have that earning stream. And so I remarked that it's really only for very, very highly speculative investors. Thus, I'm not going to attempt to forecast the timing of an end to an advance. It could go on for a very long time. And then I noted that a recession might be one of the ways. Now, when it was a small group, the first run here in the United States included libertarians and some technical people. Now, there are libertarians who still believe that Bitcoin is a type of currency that will sort of fight the government. I disagree with that, but that's for another video. I want to point out that today the IRS won a battle against Coinbase, and Coinbase is going to have to turn over the names of all the people who have sold Bitcoin. Apparently they have 20,000 names of people who have sold Bitcoin, but there's only been 800 or 900 people that have claimed profits in Bitcoin. So there you go. The IRS is going to be looking at that. But that's only the beginning with what I expect from the government. So basically what we've got is strong buying. People are watching the price. They don't really have any idea behind it, why it should be where it is or where it could possibly go, because you really can't know, because unless you know exactly who's buying and who's not. All I know is I'm hearing more and more anecdotal evidence here in the Silicon Valley area that people are jumping in and they're putting all their money into it. And that's extremely, extremely risky and very dangerous. So what could stop this buying frenzy that's going on? What will exhaust it? You could have transaction problem. We had some transaction problems today in processing Bitcoin. That's why it dropped a little bit. But I'm getting asked to debate left and right Bitcoin. I don't think it's that interesting of a topic, but people want to talk about it. So I've got a couple of debates coming up, and I don't want to really go into all the technical stuff on the transaction problems, but I will in the debate, because I'm sure the people I'm debating really don't understand how serious that could be. And don't listen to these people that tell you, it's fine, it's an algorithm, and that's dispersed ledgers and all that kind of stuff. There's problems there. So as a matter of fact, right now, the cost of doing a transaction, I believe, last I saw some numbers on it was around $5 to do a transaction. So is that. The second problem is government interference. So we see the IRS going after Coinbase, but again, the government uses money as a method of gaining control of assets, of spending. And they do this with the US dollar. So my guess is they're not going to allow this long term. There's a number of ways that they could come in and really pressure anybody that starts to use this as a regular basis for money. And it really is another possible problem. A third problem is a recession. Okay, so I mentioned this a little bit. You've got this buying coming in, but if there's a recession, when you have this many people buying, you got Silicon Valley people who are really being fueled by Fed money printing. When that Fed money printing stops, a lot of these guys are going to lose their jobs, and they may be bullish as hell on Bitcoin and where it's going and all that kind of stuff. But in order to maintain their lifestyles when they're out of a job, they're going to start selling Bitcoin. And remember, this isn't something where there's an earning stream or anything else that is going to cause anybody to jump in because it's an absolute steal. So these guys are going to be coming in and putting downward pressure where I don't think there's a lot of bidding support here when you get significant selling. So that could be very, very dangerous. And then the fourth thing you could have is just simply a natural exhaustion of buyers. We don't know how much that is. At this point, it seems that the number of buyers continues to expand, so that can fuel this. But at some point, if you don't get more people to push this up as the thing goes up, your risk of some of these people getting bored in this and starting to sell and starting a significant collapse is more than just these small temporary trading things. So that basically, in a nutshell, is my view on Bitcoin. It has no value here as far as zero or $1 million. It could go anywhere. It depends upon what people are willing to pay for it. Value in the end for consumption goods, and that's technically what this really is in a way. It's not an investment. There are no earnings, or it's not capital. It's a consumption good, and it's subjective. But the limitations are how much money people have in their pockets and how much are they willing to spend, and what happens when all these people dry up. So, and as far as it being a technology, as far as the money is concerned, there are many competitors to Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, in my EPJ Daily Alert later this week, I'm going to be recommending another coin other than Bitcoin for people who want to speculate. So if you're interested in speculating in this, there's a good coin out there. I'm familiar with the people running it. They're very, very smart people. And I'm going to talk about it more in the alert. So subscribe to the alert. I'll leave a link down at the bottom of the YouTube. And also, with regard to these ups and downs, I've got a pretty good idea where there'll be another up spike in Bitcoin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss that in a future alert this week, where people who sort of want to do a quick trade, try and get a quick trade in, I'm going to suggest a point where we could see another spike, show you where it happened once before like this and where it could happen. So that's coming up at the end of this week, Monday at the latest, but we'll work it in that time period. Now, as far as this Bitcoin becoming a money, there's a lot of competitors as far as cryptocurrencies. It's not really clear to me why you'd want to do this. I think it's a very trackable thing for people who are concerned about, for libertarians, for example, who think this is some way to get around the government. I don't see that happening at all. And government could interfere in this, I think, very, very easily. And the government, the Fed, is talking about a Fed coin of some kind. And if that happens, they're going to for sure rule these other things out, and you could see significant collapses. So even though I'm recommending a coin for a speculation and also timing on a possible new spike in Bitcoin, I consider it an extremely, extremely risky investment where lots of things go wrong. I don't really see, in my EPJ Daily Alert, I don't see any recession coming for at least the first half of 2018. It might be longer than that, but certainly nothing in this period. Stock market might be weak. There might be some weakness in the stock market, but I don't think it'll turn into a full-fledged recession. As far as the government interference is happening now, where they really slam the boot down, we don't know, but that could happen at any time. And transaction processing problems, that is a possibility, and we that's kind of an unknown. Will it ever be a significant factor or not? We don't know. Anyways, that's my quick summary here on Bitcoin. Very, very speculative. Could jump all over the place, could go much, much higher. Recession would probably be the real killer here, although there are other factors that could just knock it out of the game at any time. There's room for some speculation if you're a very, very aggressive, wild speculator, but never put any serious money into Bitcoin. You're going to be in terrible trouble. There are people putting all their funds into Bitcoin. I know the Silicon Valley guys are selling stocks, mortgaging houses, doing all kinds of crazy, insane things, and putting it in Bitcoin. But they're just part of this group. And when that group is exhausted for whatever reason, there's going to be nothing there. So extremely, extremely dangerous. But there are some opportunities for speculation for people who have a high risk tolerance. Thanks for listening. There'll be a link to the EPJ Daily Alert subscription and also to my regular blog, economicpolicyjournal.com. Really appreciate your sticking with me through this video, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.